You think you know Illinois. Flat cornfields and Chicago, right? Wrong. This state is hiding geographic secrets, so bizarre they'll make you question reality itself. From rivers that flow backward to sand dunes in the Midwest. Here are 50 Illinois geography facts that sound completely fake but are absolutely real. At number 50, Illinois has active sand dunes. Moving, shifting sand dunes along Lake Michigan at Illinois Beach State Park. These dunes migrate up to 10 feet per year. Sand dunes in the Midwest sound impossible, but they're absolutely real. These aren't small bumps in the sand. These are legitimate dunes that move and shift like you'd see in the Sahara Desert. Wind pushes them inland, year after year, reshaping the entire coastline of Illinois along Lake Michigan constantly. Number 49. Springfield became the state capital because it sits almost exactly in the geographic center of Illinois. Politicians deliberately chose it to be equidistant from all state boundaries. They measured the entire state and planted the capital dead center. This wasn't a random choice or political favor. They used actual mathematics and surveying to find the precise middle of Illinois. Then they said, this is where the government goes. The capital's location was a calculated geographic decision. Coming in at number 48, Illinois has 102 counties. That's more than any state east of the Mississippi, except Georgia. One county for every 125 square miles. The administrative map is a jigsaw puzzle. The reason for so many counties is simple. When Illinois was being settled, they wanted every resident to reach their county seat within one day's horse ride. So they carved the state into tiny pieces for administrative convenience. Number 47. Chicago sits on a continental divide. The Chicago Portage is where water can flow to either the Gulf of Mexico or the Atlantic Ocean. This single spot controls where water travels across half the continent. This is one of the most important geographic locations in North America. Water flowing, one direction goes to the Atlantic. Water flowing the other direction goes to the Gulf. Chicago exists at this critical watershed junction point. At number 46, southern Illinois has bald cypress swamps. Real swamps, with bald cypress trees, draped in Spanish moss, standing water, and wetland ecosystems, identical to Louisiana bayous. These swamps are in Illinois, not the deep south. You could stand in these swamps and believe you're in Louisiana. The trees, the moss, the murky water, the wildlife, everything matches a southern bayou perfectly. But you're hundreds of miles north, in the middle of Illinois. Number 45. Illinois' highest point is Charles Mound at 1,235 feet. The Willis Tower in Chicago is 1,450 feet tall. A skyscraper is taller than the highest natural point in the entire state. Think about that. You could stand on top of an office building in Chicago and be higher than any mountain, hill, or natural elevation anywhere in Illinois. The tallest building beats the tallest land. Illinois is that flat. Coming in at number 44, there's a town called Metropolis with a 15-foot Superman statue. It sits along the Ohio River and officially claims to be the hometown of Superman. The statue stands in the town's square. Metropolis went all in on the Superman connection. They have festivals, museums, Superman-themed everything. The entire town built its identity around a fictional character. Geography and pop culture merged into one strange reality. Number 43. Illinois touches 5 different states. Wisconsin, Iowa, Missouri, Kentucky, and Indiana all share borders with Illinois. That makes it a geographic hub, where 5 states meet and connect to each other. Being surrounded by 5 states makes Illinois the crossroads of the Midwest. Every major route, every connection between neighboring states passes through Illinois at some point. The state's position creates unavoidable geographic importance. At number 42, the Mississippi River forms most of Illinois' western border for 580 miles. That's the longest river border of any state east of the Rockies. The Mississippi defines where Illinois ends, and Iowa and Missouri begin. For 580 continuous miles, this massive river separates Illinois from its western neighbors. The river didn't just create a border. It created economies, transportation networks, and cultural divisions that still exist today. Number 41. Illinois sits on the New Madrid seismic zone. This fault produced the most powerful earthquakes in United States history in 1811 and 1812. These earthquakes rang church bells in Boston and temporarily reversed the Mississippi River's flow. These earthquakes were felt across half the continent. They created new lakes, changed river courses, and destroyed settlements. And the fault is still active. Scientists say another major earthquake will happen. It's not if, it's when. Coming in at number 40. Illinois has only 63 miles of Lake Michigan shoreline. Wisconsin has 820 miles. Michigan has 3,288 miles. Illinois barely touches the Great Lakes, despite being called a Great Lakes state. Illinois gets to claim Great Lakes status based on just 63 miles of coastline. Other Great Lakes states have thousands of miles. Illinois squeaked into the club with minimal shoreline compared to everyone else. Number 39. Cairo, Illinois, sits at the confluence of the Mississippi and Ohio rivers. It's the southernmost city in Illinois. Locals pronounce it Cairo, not Cairo like Egypt. Say it wrong and they'll correct you instantly. The pronunciation is serious to people who live there. They've heard it mispronounced their entire lives and they're done with it. Cairo, not Cairo. Get it right or everyone knows you're not from around here. At number 38, parts of the Illinois River system flow backwards during extreme flooding. The Chicago River was permanently reversed by engineers in 1900, but the Illinois River reverses naturally when massive floods hit the region. During extreme flooding, the Illinois River gets so overwhelmed with water that it just gives up and flows the wrong direction. No human engineering needed. The river naturally reverses when conditions get bad enough. Number 37. Illinois is 385 miles tall from Gully Na in the north to Cairo in the south. That's the same distance as New York City to Cleveland, Ohio. One state contains that entire geographic span. You could drive from New York to Cleveland, or you could drive from top to bottom of Illinois. Same distance, same time. One state holds what feels like it should be 3 or 4 states worth of territory. Coming in at number 36. Starved Rocks canyons were carved by glacial meltwater floods 13,000 years ago. These were catastrophic flooding events with water volumes that carved through solid rock. The canyons are scars from ancient apocalyptic floods. Imagine walls of water taller than skyscrapers rushing through the landscape, carving canyons through bedrock in just years or decades. These weren't gentle processes. These were violent catastrophic events that reshaped everything permanently. Number 35. Illinois has sinkholes. The limestone bedrock in southern Illinois creates active sinkhole regions. Some sinkholes appear suddenly and swallow parts of fields or roads. The ground opens up without warning and disappears into underground voids. One day the ground is solid. The next day there's a hole where the road used to be. Sinkholes don't give warnings. The limestone dissolves underground, cavities form, and eventually the surface just collapses into nothing. At number 34, the Shawnee National Forest contains ancient mountains. These peaks are part of the Ozark Plateau and predate the Appalachians. Some of the oldest exposed rock in North America sits right here in Illinois. These mountains are ancient beyond comprehension. They were already old when the Appalachians formed. They've been eroding for hundreds of millions of years. What we see today are just worn-down remnants of peaks that used to tower. Number 33. Kuhokiu was larger than London in 1250 AD. This pre-Columbian city near modern Collinsville had 20,000 residents and 120 mounds. Its geographic footprint exceeded medieval London's size. Before Columbus sailed, before Europeans knew America existed, Illinois had a city bigger than London. Indigenous Americans built an urban center with 20,000 people. This wasn't wilderness. This was civilization on a massive scale. Coming in at number 32, Garden of the Gods in southern Illinois has dramatic sandstone formations. Towering natural sculptures that look transplanted from Utah. These rock formations rise from forest in shapes that seem impossible for the Midwest. The rock towers and arches look like someone grabbed them from the Southwest desert and dropped them in Illinois forest. The geology doesn't match. The formations don't belong. But there they are, defying regional expectations completely. Number 31. Cairo, Illinois sits at 37 degrees north latitude. Richmond, Virginia sits at 37.5 degrees north. Southern Illinois extends further south than parts of the actual South. Geography ignores regional labels completely. Southern Illinois is literally more southern than parts of the South. The state stretches so far down that it's on the same latitude as traditionally southern states. Regional identity means nothing to actual geographic coordinates. At number 30, Illinois contains over 2,900 lakes and ponds. Many were created by glacial activity thousands of years ago. For a landlocked prairie state, Illinois has an incredible number of water bodies scattered everywhere. Glaciers carved thousands of depressions that filled with water when ice melted. Now Illinois has nearly 3,000 separate lakes and ponds. For a supposedly flat, boring state, there's water absolutely everywhere you look. Number 29. Chicago is built on a swamp. The entire city was raised 4 to 14 feet in the 1850s and 60s, using jackscrews. They lifted every building because the original ground flooded constantly from marshy wetlands. They jacked up entire city blocks, built new foundations underneath, then lowered everything back down, block by block, building by building. They raised an entire city. The engineering required was absolutely massive and unprecedented. Coming in at number 28, Mississippi Palisades State Park features 300-foot bluffs overlooking the river, dramatic vertical cliffs that seem impossible in Illinois, sheer rock walls rising straight up from the Mississippi River below, 300-foot vertical drops along the Mississippi, cliffs that look like they belong out west, sheer walls of rock rising from the river. These formations don't fit Illinois' flat reputation at all. Number 27. Galena, Illinois, shares the same latitude as Rome, Italy. Both sit at 42 degrees north. Rome has Mediterranean climate, while Galena gets brutal Midwest winters. Same latitude, completely opposite weather patterns and temperatures. Same distance from the equator produces completely different climates. Rome gets mild winters and warm summers. Galena gets freezing snow and humid heat. Latitude doesn't determine climate. Ocean currents and continental position matter more. At number 26, Horseshoe Lake near Granite City is a former Mississippi River channel. This oxbow lake shows how rivers change course. The Mississippi abandoned this curve completely and left it behind as a separate body of water. The Mississippi used to flow through Horseshoe Lake. Then the river cut a new path and abandoned the old channel. Now it's a lake, a ghost of where the river used to be. Proof that rivers don't stay put. Number 25. Illinois farmland is worth more than most countries' entire economies. The agricultural value of the topsoil exceeds the GDP of over 100 nations. This is some of the richest, most productive farmland on Earth. The Black Prairie soil is worth billions. Glaciers spent thousands of years depositing the perfect growing conditions. That topsoil produces more economic value than entire countries. The dirt beneath Illinois is basically gold. Coming in at number 24, Illinois Cavern State Natural Area contains 6.5 miles of mapped passages. This is part of an extensive underground cave system. Beneath Illinois, there's an entire hidden network of limestone tunnels. 6.5 miles mapped so far, and there's likely more undiscovered. Underground rivers carved these passages through limestone over millions of years. Above ground looks normal. Below ground is a secret world. Number 23. The Illinois-Michigan Canal is 96 miles long. It connected the Great Lakes to the Mississippi River watershed. This canal essentially linked the Atlantic Ocean to the Gulf of Mexico through one continuous water route. Before this canal, the Great Lakes and Mississippi were separate systems. After the canal, you could travel by water from the Atlantic to the Gulf. 96 miles of human engineering connected two oceans permanently. At number 22, Chicago is closer to the Atlantic than to Montana. Chicago to the Atlantic coast is 790 miles. Chicago to Montana is over 1,100 miles. The country's width is deceptive and uneven. The eastern United States is more compact than the western half. You can reach the ocean faster from Chicago than you can reach the western mountains. Distance and geography don't work the way most people think. Number 21. Southern Illinois gets more annual rainfall than Seattle. Parts receive 48+ inches annually. Seattle averages only 37 inches. Illinois is wetter than the Pacific Northwest, despite being landlocked in the Midwest. Everyone thinks Seattle is rainy. Southern Illinois gets 11 more inches of rain per year. The Midwest is wetter than the coastal Northwest. Rain doesn't care about reputation or regional stereotypes. Coming in at number 20. The state was almost split into two separate states. Multiple proposals in the 1800s would have divided Illinois into Illinois in the north and Egypt or Jacksonia in the south. The split nearly happened. North and South Illinois are so different that politicians seriously considered making them separate states. The proposals came close to passing. We almost had two states instead of one. One decision kept Illinois unified. Number 19. A 2003 study proved Illinois' topography is literally flatter than a pancake. The state's variation is 0.0068. A pancake's variation is 0.0034. Illinois is scientifically, geometrically flatter. Scientists measured Illinois' elevation changes and compared them to an actual pancake surface variation. Illinois is flatter. This isn't an expression, it's mathematical fact. The state is geometrically smoother than breakfast food. At number 18, Lake Michigan controls Chicago's weather. The lake creates a microclimate, making Chicago 5 to 10 degrees Fahrenheit cooler in summer and warmer in winter than areas just 50 miles inland. The lake regulates temperature constantly. The massive volume of water in Lake Michigan absorbs and releases heat slowly. This creates a buffer zone that moderates Chicago's temperature year-round. The lake is basically a giant natural climate control system. Number 17. The Kaskaskia River flows into Illinois from Missouri. This river crosses state lines twice. It flows from Illinois into Missouri, then back into Illinois before joining the Mississippi. Rivers normally don't cross borders multiple times. The river starts in Illinois, leaves the state, enters Missouri, then comes back to Illinois again. It crosses the border twice in its journey. Rivers aren't supposed to do this. Geography and state lines don't always cooperate. Coming in at number 16, Illinois has recorded minus 38 degrees Fahrenheit and 117 degrees Fahrenheit. That's a temperature range of 155 degrees. From Arctic cold to Death Valley heat in one state. 155 degrees of temperature variation. From freezing Arctic conditions to desert heat extremes. All within the same state borders. Illinois experiences climate extremes that rival anywhere on Earth. Number 15. Chicago's grid system starts at 0. State and Madison streets form the absolute 0 point. Every single address in Chicago is measured from this exact intersection. The entire city radiates outward from one specific corner. The entire city's navigation system is based on distance from State and Madison. Every address tells you exactly how far north, south, east, or west you are from that intersection. It's mathematical urban planning. At number 14, the Ohio River border was surveyed wrong. Kentucky's northern border was supposed to be the river's north bank. The actual border is the low water mark on Illinois' side. Kentucky technically owns part of the river. The surveyors made a mistake. They drew the border at the low water mark instead of the north bank. So Kentucky's territory extends into what looks like Illinois' side of the river. The error is permanent. Number 13. Illinois has more miles of rivers than roads in some counties. The state contains over 87,000 miles of rivers and streams. This water network is intricate, extensive, and predates all human infrastructure by thousands of years. 87,000 miles of flowing water. In some counties, there are more river miles than road miles. The natural water network is more extensive than the human-built transportation system. Coming in at number 12, Cairo sits at the same latitude as North Carolina. Southern Illinois shares latitude with the Research Triangle. Geographically, this part of Illinois aligns more with the South than the Midwest by actual coordinates. By latitude, Southern Illinois belongs with the South. The coordinates match North Carolina, not Wisconsin or Michigan. Regional labels are cultural, not geographic. The actual location puts Illinois in Southern Territory. Number 11. The entire state sits on ancient seafloor. 300 million years ago, Illinois was at the bottom of a shallow tropical sea. All bedrock is layered marine sediment containing fossils from that ancient ocean. Every rock in Illinois is ocean sediment. The entire state was underwater for millions of years. Marine fossils are embedded in bedrock throughout Illinois. The ground remembers when this was all tropical sea. At number 10, Chicago is closer to New York than to Denver. 790 miles to New York City versus 1,000 plus to Denver. The eastern United States is geographically more compact than the western half of the country. The eastern states are packed together. The western states are spread out from Chicago. You can reach the East Coast faster than the Rockies. The country's geography is uneven and asymmetric. Number 9. Illinois extends further west than Wisconsin's eastern edge. The western tip of Illinois at 90.6 degrees west extends beyond parts of eastern Wisconsin at 87.8 degrees west. Illinois reaches further than expected. People think Illinois is entirely east of Wisconsin. But the western tip of Illinois actually extends beyond Wisconsin's eastern shore. State shapes create weird geographic overlaps that maps don't show clearly. Coming in at number 8, Illinois faces three major natural disasters regularly. Tornadoes, earthquakes, and floods all hit this state. It sits in Tornado Alley, on the New Madrid seismic zone, and along massive flood-prone rivers simultaneously. Triple threat disaster zone. Tornadoes from the west, earthquakes from the south, floods from the rivers. Illinois gets hit by three different catastrophic natural disasters. Most states deal with one. Illinois handles three. Number 7. Southern Illinois is geologically older than the Rocky Mountains. The exposed bedrock in Shawnee National Forest dates to 320 million years ago. It predates the Rockies by 250 million years of Earth's history. The rocks in Illinois are ancient. They were already old when the Rocky Mountains started forming. Illinois bedrock predates the Rockies by 250 million years. These are some of the oldest rocks in America. At number 6, Illinois has a rainforest microclimate. The Cache River wetlands contain temperate swamp forest with 91 tree species. That biodiversity level matches actual rainforests. This species variety shouldn't exist in the Midwest at all. 91 different tree species in one wetland area. That's rainforest biodiversity in the Midwest. The microclimate and wetland conditions created an ecological hotspot where species variety rivals tropical regions. Number 5. The Chicago River is the only river that flows backward permanently. Reversed by engineers in 1900, it flows away from its natural direction continuously. It's the only river in the world engineered to flow backwards forever. Engineers looked at the Chicago River and said it flows the wrong way, so they reversed it permanently. It's been flowing backwards for over a century. No other river in the world was permanently reversed like this. Coming in at number 4, the southern tip is closer to Memphis than to Chicago. Cairo to Memphis is 135 miles. Cairo to Chicago is 365 miles. Southern Illinois is geographically closer to Tennessee than northern Illinois. Southern Illinois has more in common with Tennessee than with Chicago. The distance proves it. Cairo is 230 miles closer to Memphis than to its own state's largest city. Geography splits Illinois in half. Number 3. Illinois gained territory from Wisconsin in 1818. The northern border was shifted 51 miles north to include Chicago. Without this change, Chicago would be in Wisconsin today. That one decision changed both states forever. Illinois grabbed 51 miles of Wisconsin territory to include Chicago. One border decision gave Illinois its largest city. Without that shift, Chicago would be Wisconsin's city today. Both states would be completely different now. At number 2, you can see 5 states from Charles Mound on a clear day. Wisconsin and Iowa are clearly visible. Some claim you can glimpse portions of Indiana and Michigan too, though this remains debated among visitors and locals. From Illinois' highest point, multiple states are visible simultaneously. Wisconsin and Iowa for sure. Indiana and Michigan maybe. The geographic position lets you see across state lines in multiple directions at once. And finally, at number 1, Illinois is bigger than England. At 57,914 square miles, Illinois exceeds England's 50,346 square miles. One American state contains more land than the birthplace of English. One state is bigger than the entire country that colonized America. Illinois contains more land than England. The place that spread English worldwide fits inside Illinois with room left over. Geography and history collide in the most unexpected way.